Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now Valorant Season 32 is soon to start, and as always we do need to discuss some of the better, more useful champions for both of the metas. So this video is going to be for the pre-season victory track and weeks 1 and 2 meta. And the entire point of these metas is fairly simple. You do have Footloose. So after activating his special attack, the defender becomes unstoppable and has a 25% chance to evade attacks for 5 seconds. And we have Rich Get Richer. One important thing to kind of note is that Rich Get Richer is perfectly manageable in the version that we get to test, as in like the victory track meta, and by extension of it, you can kind of use majority of the champions for these metas. I do not think that will be the case for Rich Get Richer level 3, where it's more than twice as potent power gain. That will open up a few different avenues for offensive champions that you will effectively be able to use without hitting the defender and just waiting for Rich Get Richer to fill up your power bar if you're winning the buff battle. At the same time, it will make some defenders significantly more different, and we haven't had necessarily a chance to test that out fully. But we do have Mr. Fantastic's Resolve and Ready for All Things kind of buffing us up more than normal. And Defender starts this fight with the following debuffs: 15 seconds each, refreshes on knockdown, unaffected by ability accuracy reduction, so Petrify, 40% potency, suppression, 25% potency, debuff siphon, 25% potency. And that Petrify is by far and away the most important thing here, because it reduces the Rich Get Richer power gain by 40%. It is absolutely crucial that your defenders, A, are capable of getting rid of it, potentially, and B, that as an attacker, you maintain it up, because that makes every fight significantly more manageable, even when you're losing the buff battle. And obviously we do have the knocking down the opponent, inflicts a 15-second, 20% potency debuff siphon passive. If 3 of these are passive, special and heavy attacks gain 50% attack rating. That's significantly less consequential node, but you know, it's fine. Nothing too wrong with that. Then skill class, the victor, the king of the skill class here, is for most going to be Okoye, because she does have a buff that will let her win the initial buff battle with just about everybody, and she will only have to concede it effectively after opponent's special attacks when they do get 2 buffs guaranteed. And at the same time, she does have a chance to fail some of those buffs. So Okoye, in my fairly limited amount of testing, has been like one of the MVPs there. Then we do have Shield. Shield is a very solid option here for sure, both offensively and defensively, in my opinion. And yeah, her ability to bypass Unstoppable effectively means that even after opponent's special attacks, you can go in for a punish. There's 25% chance they'll evade it, but after that, there's nothing stopping you from, you know, parrying and striking opponents while they are under the parry stun while the Unstoppable is going on. So Shield does have like innate advantage. Other than that, skill class isn't like looking too great offensively. Some of the defenders that will be significant problems will include, for instance, Bullseye, because not only he can purify the debuffs and the Petrify, additionally, whenever he activates special attack, that extra power gain he gains makes fight significantly harder for a ton of champions, because when he activates special attack, he can't go into punish anyways. And then if he gains those buffs, which he will, he, you know, is charging power bar up for his next special. So typically Bullseye's counters do not have too many, if any, buffs. And that means that, again, he's going to get his specials quicker, and that fight gets more tricky. Then additional things that I wanted to point out in skill class as defensive options could involve Korg maybe making a bit of a comeback, especially if he's high sig, because he does have a fairly solid chance to shrug off that Petrify at the beginning and the rest of the debuffs. That again will make him kind of like more dangerous with the Rich Get Richer and Footloose nodes, but we'll see about that working out. But debuff purification is kind of potent here for sure. So besides that, it's going to be like your regular suspects. I do think Warlock is going to be good both offense and defense, because number one, Warlock does have a buff upon the start of the fight. So that means that half the time, or a lot of the time, he is going to be winning the Rich Get Richer battle. And with doing so, you're going to be able to spam more level 2s, which will kind of make him quicker Even though his damage output has never been the greatest, it's going to be at the very least serviceable, and then combined with the amount of utility, I do think Warlock could be making a bit of a comeback for this meta. That hand Spider-Man will be very good for his select specific target matchups as well, because it is, doubtless that people are still going to be running champs like Zola and Photon and stuff like that. But in those matchups, Hand Spider-Man effectively, by the time you're building up poise charges, you're going to get that precision buff on you. And then with that precision, you are effectively capable of ramping up and building up your level 2, and thus starting the fight immediately like that, or like 1.9 bars of power, and then, being immediately able to go in for like a stun chain. So yeah, Starkey should be working out quite nicely, to be honest. Red Skull, again, just because of his innate buff. If you go for level 2, he gets unstoppable there as well. And his power control is also still going to be helping you, where you can parry and reduce opponent's power, making sure they throw less specials than normal. So Red Skull should be a great dual purpose champion here. Pam, again, he has a playstyle that effectively can be utilized in a way where opponent doesn't use single special attack. You will take some chip damage for it, but that could be a huge advantage in this meta for sure. In techs, again, there are other tech champions that I think we will obviously see, but not too many of them kind of like jump out of the page. You're obviously going to see, Zola's around, as we always do. Possibly some Solvarks for defense, not entirely sure on that, but other than that, yeah, I think I kind of highlighted the main ones. In Mutant Glass actually interacts very poorly with all of these notes. The one champion in Mutant Glass that I did want to, in fact, highlight properly, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister, again, for the reason that you can just dex and then start charging a heavy attack, which will let you get to your level 1 quicker. You will obviously lose that precision once you connect the first hit, but there's nothing stopping you from doing it again. And overall, in majority of the matchups where you would use Mr. Sinister, you should have easier access to your level 1s. And with that, you should be able to stack up those degens up to like 20 and do a significantly higher amount of damage. Also, his own innate playstyle effectively involves knocking down the opponent, which will let you benefit easily from those starting debuffs on the opponents. In addition, by knocking down the opponent, you're going to get that siphon as well, and that will increase the potency of degen. So Mr. Sinister is actually looking like a bit of a powerhouse for this stuff in particular. Then in Science Class, we do have several kind of MVPs. Champions with easy access to slow and ideally petrify, but even if it's just slow, that already will be extremely valuable, because then you can play completely freely. Therefore, Red Guardian is a great option if you do have him. And besides of Red Guardian, Spider-Woman, now she does not have slow, but she's a very rare science champion with a buff in her own kit. And her playstyle, again, she doesn't mind too much if one gets a bit of extra power. And on top of it all, obviously you do have your petrifies whenever your buffs expire, thus you will be gaining more power. Overall, I do think she's going to be crushing this meta quite well. Then we have Anti-Venom. I do think this is going to be time for Anti-Venom to shine quite well for both of the metas this season, to be honest. Because Anti-Venom does have abilities that limit Evade and Unstoppable. He has the Deaccelerate if you want to go that route. He does have Stagger if you want to keep staggering your opponents. And he obviously does have additional Petrifies as well. So whichever way you kind of choose to go, Anti-Venom is quite a versatile option for a whole bunch of fights. And don't laugh at me, and I'm not saying this is going to be an MVP champion, but I just wanted to say that there is a chance that those people who like Falcon Hook in Taurus, who have invested in him, might get a decent use out of him, because he does have very easy access to slow from the very beginning of the fight. And I think it will be very useful. I think it could be very useful for sure. So I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I'm saying there's a chance. I do, however, think Luke Cage could be making a bit of a shine here. Because again, with the extra debuffs, a lot of people forget that Luke Cage does have extra amount of attack for each debuff on opponent, as we can see here. Luke Cage, like at 7-star rank 3 level, let's say. Luke Cage gains 1700 extra attack rating for each unique debuff on the opponent. Luke Cage gains, additional 900 attack rating for each non-unique debuff on the opponent. So he's going to stack his own debuffs, and those are working together with Petrify, so he will be able to reverse opponent's power gain. So you're probably going to be able to be more aggressive than normal, and ideally prevent opponents from throwing special attacks to begin with, especially if they have buffs innately on them. And then on top of it all, you do have Concussion, which will help you as well, you know, if you do have to deal with Footloose. And his attack is going to be higher than normal. So I do think Luke Cage is kind of like well worth a look at. Then, and again, you know, obviously there's going to be standard science champions that will shine, you know, regardless. I'm sure we're going to see some torches running around. I don't like Pig for this meta because you can't punish opponents' special attacks, but, you know, Void, by all intents and purposes, could be very good for this meta if you have him ranked up. I think Void is worth highlighting. I didn't have, because I genuinely forgot, because I don't have him as 7-star threats. I'm sure we can see a few more. Mystic Glass, I think shatters right, because every time opponent throws a special attack, you know, you have buffs expiring, that inflicts vulnerabilities, that, you know, feeds her a little bit more, and they don't last for any time at all whatsoever due to her level 1 atrophy. And yeah, there's absolutely nothing stopping Shatter from being an absolutely dominant champion, in my opinion. She's going to be still great and extremely versatile. And I mean, Tigra is obviously going to do great because she can completely shut down the Footloose node. And opponents' buffs in general. Then Nico, buff immunity on opponent, you know, easy. There's no easier thing to say there. It's just like opponent's buff immunity, no Footloose, and her being powered up further. So Nico is going to be an absolutely bonkers champion. Juggy, he has buffs. He has his Unstoppables. He's going to get his Fury. And you can stagger opponent's Footloose as well. Feed your own Mystic Dispersion. So Juggy should be absolutely rolling in that. Longshot, I think, is quite interesting pick for this one as well, because he should be good offensively and defensively, in my opinion, because, again, he has chance to nullify any buff from the opponent and replace it with bad karma, which kind of can help, you know, feed his own abilities if he has decent sig. And offensively, obviously, you can eat Footloose buffs and Fate Seal the opponent, make sure they don't benefit from the Rich Get Richer node, and his playstyle involves knocking down the opponents with heavy quite frequently, so you can be upkeeping the Mr. Fantastic buffs. And yeah, defensively, he still will be able to catch people off guard, in my opinion, for sure. Cosmic class is going to be likely one of the more popular classes alongside Mystic in this meta. I think Mystic and Cosmic are going to be two of the biggest threats. I think Venom is a solid choice for this because he's going to be winning just about every buff battle at all times, on top of the fact that he's going to be able to reduce opponents' buffs, heal up from them, and yeah, I think Venom's going to be quite nice. Obviously, Caroline Dean, you know, power gaining as she is, having access to buffs, 2 buffs from the beginning of the fight, basically, and just a great champion for this meta. I don't know how much else to say there. Oh, and because you don't strike opponent much for them to be gaining much power and using their specials. Medusa, again, both can catch people on defense and offensively will be good too. Has access to multiple buffs, completely shuts down robots if you're going to get to see some, and also an evade counter is going to be quite helpful. I do think she's worth running in this meta. Nova is kind of like a hidden trick here. There will be some Mystic champions that will kind of ruin him, but keep in mind that if you do have him at high sig, the Footloose buff duration can be increased by up to 80%. That means significantly longer uptime to that Unstoppable and regeneration if opponents do not have a Mystic that gets rid of those quickly. But offensively, obviously, he's going to typically be winning the buff battles because of his innate buffs himself. And he could be quite an interesting curveball champion for the meta. Obviously, Thanos is going to be absolutely dominant. There's no question about that. And I did want to bring out Kindred as well, but in Cosmic class in general, you know, we're gonna have the Serpent and the regular suspects too, you know, no doubt about that. Scream's probably gonna see some play, most likely, potentially even Superior Iron Man. I'm not gonna be running him, but I'm sure I'm gonna see some of them being run. Galen is better than normal too, and so on and so forth. Another champion that is going to be quite deadly, I think, is gonna be Kindred, because Kindred effectively relies on you being able to punish his special attacks in order to pause his charge gain, and the node effectively prevents vast majority of the champions in the game punishing his special attacks. So naturally, he should be significantly bigger danger than he normally is. So that is approximate thoughts of the meta thus far. Let me know what you guys think. I did test more the Safeguard meta, and I'll release a video on that tomorrow. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about